Straight from Hope Ministry Sanctuary, Pastor Ralf Friedrichs here today, enjoying another beautiful day that God had given to us, and we shall enjoy it for the rest of the day. Friends, back in January of this year, I was building another building outside for our ministry, for the kids and adults to enjoy. And I'm a very stubborn person, and I proceeded to do it alone once again. I was lifting a 2 by 8 by 10 foot beam, screwed one side in, and then the other side, well, that side came crashing down and hit the corner of the beam against the corner right side of my head near the eye. Sure, it really did hurt. I grabbed my head, and I continued a few weeks later. Slowly, my vision became blurry to no vision at all. After 4 months, I finally had it checked out yesterday, and I'm the owner of a hemorrhage behind the eye with blood buildup. Because of the blood behind that eye, I can't see. So my game plan is to have the blood drained, or even eye surgery called vitrectomy. This brings me to today's service about God telling me to slow down, and tells us all that. So 10 signs that God is telling you and me to step back and take a break of the daily routines. Number 1 is dreading the day. A pattern of dreading the day is my first sign that it's time to step back and take a break. When I dread a day, when I dread it ahead, I think to myself, I don't want to do it. I can't do it. It's just too much. Life feels impossible and overwhelming. I feel unqualified, unequipped, or unprepared, as maybe back in January. I wish someone could take my place or just check out what I'm doing. But where does dread come from? The definition of dread is to fear greatly, or to feel extreme reluctance to meet or face. It never occurred to me that fear could be the catalyst for my dreading. However, the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I feared the explanation, and I forgot that Jesus' words told me, "My grace is sufficient for you," in Matthew 12:9. Number 2 is procrastinating. In Ecclesiastes, whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. Dread inevitably leads me to procrastination. I don't start because I'm afraid I won't do the task well enough or have time to finish it. This procrastination causes paralysis, because the longer I wait to start, the more work builds up and the feelings of dread continue. It's a cycle that's hard to break, and I really don't procrastinate, but people do. However, discipline helps me break that cycle. When I discipline my days by structuring them not only with times of work, but also with times of rest, I don't fear the day as much. For me, my friends, this rest includes getting up earlier than my family, so that I have time to wake up, spend time with God before the day gets started. It also includes daily prayer and Bible time in the middle of the day. Number 3, inability to focus. A mind racing with to-do lists blocks my ability to focus. It's hard for me to be present. I forget important information, and I can't recall names of people easily anymore. This is a sign that it's time to take a break. Proverbs 16:3 tells us, "Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established." If I'm honest, I do not commit my work to the Lord all the time. I put it on my agenda, tasks that I think I need to do to get done, instead of tasks that the Lord has laid on my heart to do. To help with this, I sometimes do a simple exercise in the morning of praying over each part of my day. This helps me to recognize what needs to be addressed and get done, and it breaks it up in sections. It also helps me to anticipate things that might come up that I did not think about first. So that's how I go and I break it up. But inability is number 4. Another sign that tells me I need to step back and take a break is the inability. When I feel agitated in traffic, defensive on social media, or impatient with children, I know I need to make some changes in my own life. I turn to the Lord, and once a counselor told me that these seemingly minor irritations are misdirected coping mechanism. For example, in my road rage, I take my anger out on strangers with whom I can get away with. They are in their car and I am in my car, so there are no repercussions of my road rage, because it's not productive to take my anger out on my calendar, and it's more complicated to take it out on someone in my life or address it with someone I'm actually angry with. When I catch myself in these bouts of inability, my first response is to be quiet. It's when I start talking that the circumstances gets worse. A foot gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back, in Proverbs 29:11, I believe. Often thinks all I need to 15 minutes is to be alone. This will give me a reset in what's coming up next for my day. Sometimes it's so much easier to drop to your knees and just ask God to give you the patience and control and filter your actions for people around you. And number 5 is not meeting deadlines. Another consequence of procrastination is not meeting deadlines. And I'm pretty good with meeting deadlines. These can be work deadlines or simply paying bills on time. Ephesians 5:16 reminds us to make the most of our time. I try to schedule into my day small steps that will help me meet bigger deadline goals. I also ask myself if there's something I can take off of my calendar in order to make time for the rest. Number 6 is anxiety. Lack of rest causes my mind to spiral into many questions and unknowns, and hence that beam that fell on me. My worry was not getting that project done in time that morning, and I was anxious about it, and that anxiety is a sign that I need more margin in my life. It becomes necessary to step back and spend some time on my personal health. This looks like focusing on what I can do today to be healthier for tomorrow and prevent injuries like I have now. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble, Matthew 6:34. That includes getting adequate sleep, drinking enough water, moving in some way physically, and eating healthfully. Number 7, my friends, is overrating. Since I was a child, my go-to in times of stress has been food, junk food. I use food to procrastinate, numb my anxiety and irritability, and deal with the dread that I feel to move on to the next task. Overreacting is telling sign that I need rest. This rest does not usually include physical rest, but spiritual rest. Jesus told us, I am the bread of life in John 6:35. Instead of going to food for rest, I need to go to the Bible, to Jesus, for the food that will give me a substantial life and rest. Number 8 is over planning. Sometimes my need for rest is because I took on too much. There are too many commitments and too many yeses. Our culture prides itself on multitasking, succeeding, and accomplishing a lot in a little bit of time. In many ways, my friends, our self-worth is tied to the checks on the calendar, promising and understanding deadlines to be met. Proverbs 24:27 tells us, prepare your work outside, get everything ready for yourself, and inside the field, and after that, build your house. So promising deadlines and keeping those promising is very important, as it allows us to decide the most important and temporarily lay down everything else to meet those deadlines, but without any regret later. Number 9, sickness. At some point, our bodies, like mine right now, says slow down because you need rest. This is their way of telling you that something is not right. When I get sick, I ask myself if it might be because I haven't rested enough. Like that beam, that was early in the morning. Maybe I haven't gotten enough sleep. Maybe I haven't eaten healthfully, or maybe my anxiety contributed to my sickness. I have heard stories of Christians ending up in the hospital only to realize that it was God's provision for them in order to give them physical rest. Paying attention, my friends, to sickness allows us to disseminate whether it's rest that we need or other things. Number 10 is the inability to pray. Finally, the inability to pray is a sign that I need to step back and take a break. Whether I don't pray because of misplaced priorities and lack of time, or because I cannot calm my mind enough to pray, both are red flags. It's also a sign that I need to exercise self-discipline and pray anyway. Jesus said, my friends, come to me all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. In Matthew, I believe, 11:28. The best practice we can have is to pray even when we don't feel like it. Friends, it's going to be showering soon, but call me at 844-405-HELP, because I'm here as a pastor and a brother to you to help you get your life back, because it helps me to get my life back. And remember to give a simple smile just to anyone. It'll make their day and make your day. And remember, when you're lifting 2x8s by 10 footers, get help right away. May God always bless you, and may you all walk through life with Jesus Christ in your life. And this is the eye. You can't see it from the outside, but behind here it's full of blood. Surgery next Friday, maybe.